There are three amazing features in the latest firmware update for the RØDECaster video that make this just so much easier to use. So let's just jump right into the new features. Hi, I'm Aaron Parecki. So first, I want to thank Rode for sending the RØDECaster video out for me to share with you on the channel, and I want to thank them for giving me beta access to the firmware that I've been trying out for the last couple of weeks to get a sense of how this works. So the first feature I want to talk about is scene audio. This was probably the most important feature that was preventing me from using this for my own live streams when I was out in different studios, and for Lily's live stream set upstairs. Let me explain the problem here. Before they added this feature, the ability to control audio in the RØDECaster video is essentially limited to pressing the buttons on here or using the Rode Central app. So here I've got some audio channels configured already, and you can see I can go in here, I can scroll and choose the different audio channel, and then I can go tap into it, adjust the level up and down. And while that's all great, it's really not something I'm going to do while I'm live streaming myself. Similarly, in Rode Central, I can quickly mute and unmute audio channels here. I can drag the levels up and down, but it's just kind of fiddly to have to use a mouse all the time. And if I'm on camera myself, it's not something I want to be interacting with more than for just setting things up. So once the stream is up and running, it's all fine. But the problem is, what happens if I want to insert a video clip playback in the middle of the live stream, or start the live stream with a countdown timer where I don't want my mic on air? If I have a countdown timer running and then I want to go live and bring my own audio in, I'm going to have to fiddle with this at the same time as pushing some other buttons, which just is not practical. So that's why I'm super excited about the new scene audio feature. Let me explain how this works. First, I should mention that I've already set up my RØDECaster video with only the audio channels that I'm actually going to be using for this demo live stream. I've got my main microphone coming in HDMI 1. I've got graphics and sound effects coming in through an HDMI port, HDMI 4. And then I've also got video clips loaded into the RØDECaster and sounds. So those are the only channels I'm going to use. Of course, if you're using a wireless mic or the combo jack, you would just enable the different channels here. So now let's go over to the scene editor in Rode Central. This is what I've got connected into the RØDECaster right now. I've got my main camera here, the top-down camera in input 2. I've got the side angle in input 3. And I've created a bunch of scenes up here, which are actually mostly to get the chat overlay on top of each of the scenes. But I've also got things like the thumbnail for the countdown timer, and a layout here where I can show some messages before the stream starts. So let's say I'm going to start the pre-roll for the show, and I've started the countdown timer, and you can see it's coming in the input 4, which is labeled chat, and that's where my chat messages come in also. It's also playing background music, which you can see the levels of in the HDMI 4. So now I would probably want to show the thumbnail here instead of my own video, and just have the countdown timer playing on top. The problem is right now my microphone would also be active. So let me show you how to set this up in the scene audio feature. So over in the Rode Central software, I'm going to click on Scene D, which is the layout that is showing this thumbnail with the countdown overlaid on top. Now you can see there's a new feature in here called Scene Audio over in the side. I'm going to click this, and this will let me actually turn on and off the different inputs when this scene is on air. So I can now, for example, turn off my microphone, which is HDMI 1, and I can leave the HDMI 4, which has the countdown timer music going as well. I don't have any video clips that I'm going to play on this scene, so I can leave that turned off. And now, as soon as I change to a different scene, now you can see that my HDMI 1 microphone is actually on, and if I go back to the countdown timer, it's actually muted HDMI 1 because only the countdown music is playing now. So countdown music is just one thing you can do with this. Of course, if you have little video clips you're playing back, it's super useful for that as well. Here I have a video with some drone footage from a trip, and this is a couple minutes long, so I might want to play this during a break or just show this during the live stream. So now I can again go over to scene audio and make sure that my microphone is turned off so that I'm not going to get background music of me shuffling around while this video clip is playing. Similarly, if you have little short video clips you want to insert into as like segment titles, you can also now set the scene audio so that only the video clip audio is playing while that's on air. Let's take a look at what that would look like. So let's say I'm talking and then I want to insert a title and then move on to a new topic. Now I can click on the media tab up here, queue up the video animation, and then I'll go ahead and press auto when I'm ready. And now my microphone is not on air while this title is playing. And as soon as it's done, it's going to actually now switch back to my camera and bring my audio back on the air, which takes me to the second new feature that is just a fantastic addition to this. You may have noticed that before, when you had these kind of short video clips you wanted to insert, it would be kind of a trick to actually get the timing just right, where if you would have to watch that playback and then time it very carefully to cut back to your camera. Well, now it can happen automatically. Let's go back to the software and I'll show you how to set this up. So again, we're going to go into the media player here and I'll click on C, which is that video clip showing demo time. There's a new section up at the top here, which is called playback mode. So now you can actually change the video clip to playback just one time where it'll pause at the end. You can click loop, so it'll just go back to the beginning and play forever until you switch to a new camera angle. Or my favorite option is the new switch to. So here you can now tell it what to do when the video clip ends. So in this case, I'll have it switch back to the main camera. Or let's say we may want to actually switch to the overhead camera. You can also switch to any of the scenes or any of your media. I'll go ahead and switch to the overhead camera and then we'll go ahead and test this out. I'll go back here and I've queued up the video clip. I'll press the auto button to do a crossfade into the video clip that's playing back. And as soon as it's done playing, it's going to automatically transition back to the overhead camera. And you can see I did that all without actually having to press anything myself. The other thing, of course, you can use this for is if you have a video clip that is a countdown timer playing, instead of bringing it in through a web page like I am, if you have a video clip that's your countdown timer, now you can actually have it automatically start your show by cutting to your main camera as soon as the countdown timer is done. The third fantastic feature they added is the ability to actually change what goes out the HDMI ports and actually the USB. I'll show you two ways you can set this up. First, using the buttons on the device. Now, if you go into the settings here, click on video, you can see there's now HDMI A, HDMI B, and USB 1. So I'll click on HDMI A, and now you can choose what's going to be sent out that HDMI port. Do you want the program, the preview, the multi-view, or any of your cameras? So I can have the multi-view going out, which is how I'm actually sharing this with you on the stream here in the recording. But if I wanted to, for example, feed a projector in the room, I could plug in my computer into one of the inputs and then tell it that HDMI A is actually now going to be outputting camera 3, which might be a computer screen. And then the projector can be plugged into that HDMI port. And now you're actually able to feed a projector a copy of whatever's coming in, so you don't have to deal with splitters. Without that feature, it would actually take a bunch of either splitters or another switcher in order to actually make this work. So this is a pretty typical small conference setup where you have a close-up camera of a speaker, a wide camera showing the room, and then the presenter's computer is also plugged in to the video switcher. And of course, you got your audio, but then you need to also feed the projector so that the people in the room can see what's going on, but you also want to capture that screen in the recording. One of the nice things about feeding the projector in the room from your video switcher setup, instead of just having a splitter at the podium with one going to the projector and one going to your video switcher, is that this way you can actually change what's on the screen. For example, you could put a break screen up when there's nobody presenting. And now with the RØDECaster's aux out routing, you're actually able to change what goes to that HDMI output so that you can actually feed a projector different things based on what's going on in your stream. Of course, the other way to set this up is in the Rode Central app. You go to device configuration, and here you've got your three outputs you can change. You can change HDMI A, B, and USB 1. And again, I can choose any of program preview, multi-view, or any of the individual cameras. That's true for both HDMIs as well as for the USB 1. Why might you want to change your USB 1 output? Well, this is actually something that's really cool, and I'm gonna have to do a separate video about this because it's kind of advanced. I've done a video about how to do recordings of your presentations in Zoom while also capturing a good quality recording of your presentation. And this is the feature that actually makes it work with no additional gear. Essentially what you're doing is you want to send a clean copy of your own camera out to your computer so that your computer sends only your camera feed to Zoom. And now you can go and do this by just selecting camera 1 under the USB output, and Zoom will get a copy of your camera, but the RØDECaster can actually now record a fancy layout like what you're seeing on the screen here. If that was too fast, don't worry, I'll post another video about how to do this soon. So those are the three new features that I'm most excited about in the RØDECaster video firmware update. There's a couple of new things as well, so make sure you download it and check it out and explore it for yourself. In a previous update, they added companion support, which is also super exciting, so you can now automate this with a bunch of other gear in your studio. If you're curious about companion, it's what I'm using to control my live stream most of the time, as well as this recording. It's alternative software for the Elgato Stream Deck, and you can use it to automate all sorts of parts of your show. And now with the companion plugin for the RØDECaster video, you can also tie in the RØDECaster into companion as well. So make sure you download the latest version of the Rode Central app and update your firmware for the RØDECaster video. These are some amazing new features, and I can't wait to see what you do with them. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.